Our next guest on the Sports Hour show is the head coach of Sunshine Heights. He was newly appointed in that role just for the 2020-21 season. He's also a first-grade cricketer at the Footscray Cricket Club at district level and has had great experience playing the game of cricket. You're listening to BRIMBANK Live on Live FM. Welcome to the Sports Hour show, Wayne. Wayne.
Oh, hi, Max. Hi, Max. How are you?
Great. And it's great to have you on. Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, mate.
Can you tell us how you first got involved with Sunshine Heights?
Yeah, so I first got involved in Sunshine Heights through Dad. So we were just living in Glengala Road back in Sunshine West then, and Castle Reserve was just around the corner. So I got involved through Dad at the age of 8. Started playing at Sunshine Heights.
Yep. And can you tell us, you mentioned your dad there. Can you tell us a bit about your family history and who's played at the club? There's been a number of generations come through.
Yes. So if we go way back to the start of the club in 1954, Dad was one of the founding members of Sunshine Heights. So him and a few guys, there was no sport. I asked Dad last week, how do they form the club? And there was nothing in the Sunshine West. So they just formed Sunshine Heights. Yeah, so Dad was, founding member, life member, coached all the way from juniors, from under 12s all the way to under 16s, played all the grades, A turf premierships, B turf premierships. I think when we go to Sunshine Heights and we look at all the photo memorabilia at Heights, Dad's in a lot of that. Yeah. Then obviously I played, as I said, I started playing when I was 8. Played all my junior cricket at Sunshine Heights. I suppose when I was 9, playing my first game of under 12s, or in first season, I was really lucky. I took 5 for none, so I got my first hat trick.
Wow.
Way back at the age of 9.
Wow.
Played all my junior cricket at Sunshine Heights, and then came back after Footscray and played a bit of senior cricket. Obviously, Colin, my brother. So obviously Colin was involved in juniors down there. And we'll talk about Colin later, because we all know Colin ended up going on and playing for Australia. And then I've been fortunate since we came back from overseas. Adam, my oldest son, came back and played at the club. So I suppose the family's had a long history with the club, both from playing, from coaching. Even myself, when I was still a junior, I coached when I was playing still under 16s and playing district here at Footscray, coached an under 12 premiership and coached an under 16 premiership.
Wow.
So it's a long history. And it started in 1954 and it is still going today with the involvement in the club. And I know Dad loves coming down to the past players annual event to meet some of the older guys that played in the club.
And it's a wonderful story, this long generation of the Miller family playing at Sunshine Heights. How have you seen the club change in that time from the beginning to now as a coach at the club?
Well, it's interesting. It's always been a club that was welcoming players, So I look at back when I started, obviously there was a lot of Anglo-Saxons, Aussies playing, but then the Greek community was really big in terms of, if I look at when I played, most of my friends that are all Greek, and then all the players, if I looked around when I was playing cricket, the Greek community was sort of really involved in cricket. So it's always been a welcoming club. So I think if I look back at, how we had the Greek community, we had the Maltese, and we had a few other nationalities playing around my era. But then if I look today, and if we look at where the club's progressed over those years, it's always been welcoming. Now you've got South Sudanese, Indians, Sri Lankans, and I think that's been one of the big successes in the club, that it's evolved. And it's always been welcoming, so it always makes you feel welcome. And I suppose from my perspective, I was away overseas. Well, I was away for over 30 years from the club, just based on being away for work, and just the way I was welcomed back into that club 3 years ago was like I'd never been away. And I think that's that's been one of the things I've noticed, that I suppose it's always been a club that's welcomed, and it's always looked at how it can engage with the community. And I think that's probably one of the big successes of Sunshine Heights.
Yes, and it sounds like being welcoming would have been a very important part, especially in that time when all the Europeans were coming down as
Correct.
migrants to Australia. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you're coach of the club now, and, you very much so deserve to earn that position.
Yeah.
What are you looking to instill in the playing group as you go into that job?
Yeah, so I suppose what I'm looking at trying to get in the group is one of the. I suppose I've always grown up. Training's got to be hard, so we've got to really work on our training. I think the harder you train, I reckon the better we perform. So I think we've really got to work on our training. I think so. Training's going to be a big thing we're going to work on this year. Trying to instill that club culture. So we're not just coming to play a game of cricket. That I want to instill that culture where we've got guys coming, helping out, picking up the covers, cleaning the room. So trying to really instill that club culture, and really, I suppose, looking at how how can we play more consistent cricket. So one of my challenges is how can I instill into that playing group that I think we find we're very hot and cold. We're either great or we're very bad. So how we now get that middle ground and that we play really good, consistent cricket.
And what's your goal moving forward? At the end of it, what would you hope to have achieved? In the next 5 years, say.
Well, certainly, I mean, in the next 5 years, certainly, as I said, that club culture. So really have that club culture, really build the next generation. I think it's a really exciting time to be involved in Sunshine Heights. We've got so many young cricketers coming through. And I just, if we just take an example, you got yourself playing at Melbourne Uni, we've got Peter playing at Melbourne Uni, you've got a Con, but I think it's just an exciting time to be at the club. That next generation of good cricketers is coming through, and I think one of the things I'm trying to instill this year is we'll have a junior development program, which will train with the seniors. So we try and take that next step. So in the next 5 years, I suppose from one aim this year is obviously to win, to get into the finals. One thing I've probably never missed out of, I've never coached a senior premiership. So over the next 5 years, it would be great to be able to coach a senior premiership at Sunshine Heights. And I think just, again, bring through this crop of young guys we've got coming through to either play turf cricket at Heights or, to move on and then play Premier cricket would be the sort of what I'd like to see over the next 5 years. Yeah.
Fantastic. And we're talking to Wayne Miller, the head coach of the Sunshine Heights Cricket Club. He also played first grade at Footscray, and he's also he also has a brother who played Test cricket for Australia as a spinner in Colin Miller. Can you explain to us a bit about having a brother play Test cricket and what that was like for you?
Look, it was really exciting. So it was really great for Colin playing Test cricket. It's sort of, we always talk about how we used to play backyard cricket, and we both learned to bowl left arm playing backyard cricket. So it was really great. We talked about those days, but it was fantastic. One of the probably disappointing things for me is when Colin was playing cricket, I was living overseas, so I actually never got him to watch him play live. But obviously watched it on TV. But it was fantastic for him. I mean, fantastic for Sunshine Heights. But it was really well deserved in terms of that. But I suppose everywhere I went, and I suppose when I say my brother's Colin Miller, a lot of people look at me and say, no, you can't be brothers because Colin's very extrovert, I'm very introvert. And so all the people look at me and say, oh, no, you're not telling me the truth. But it was, it's great. It was great for him. And
And did you get any insights into the Australian team? Obviously, he was all part of the inner sanctum of that team. What did you get any cool insights?
No, not too much, no, because I said because we're always never, because I was never in Australia, yeah. So
Yeah.
not too many. I mean, I had spent some time with him at one of the Ashes tours and got spent some time with Damien Fleming, and that's so yeah. So I got some insights with the guys there. That was really cool, spending some time with them and in the Ashes, yeah.
Yeah. And so you were away for some part, and you lived in South
Yeah,
Africa
yeah,
for work for a while. What
yeah,
was
yeah.
that experience like, moving over there and living there?
Oh, look, South Africa was really interesting. We lived there twice. So we moved over the first time for 5 years, only a few years after apartheid had finished, and so it was really an exciting time for the country. A lot of excitement around the ANC, and especially with Nelson Mandela. And so that was really good. And then we went back a second time. So I ended up spending about 14 years in South Africa through work. I suppose the second time was probably the most exciting part for me, other than working. One of the things was obviously coaching AFL, so
Yeah.
working in the townships. So I spent a lot of time in the townships, black townships in Cape Town, Khayelitsha and Yanga. So that was really a real big difference, I suppose, that we found the second time we went back was just the challenges, and I suppose working with all these young boys from the township, it sort of taught me a bit more how you've got to value life and how you got to sort of value what you've got. Because life. One of the things that really stood out, life was tough in the townships, and so even over that sort of 9-year period when I was coaching football, just in that 9-year period, I had to bury 5 players. So that was really a tough, and as I said, it sort of sent home the message: you really had to value life and family. And still to today, I still mentor a couple of guys. So I'm still helping them with the university work and helping them do CV. So yeah, it was really different, really eye-opening. Something I'd probably never forget the rest of my life in terms of living there. Very different. I mean, South Africans love sport, and that was probably easy to go to South Africa because they love playing cricket, and obviously they love playing rugby. But yeah, it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. And it would have been a wonderful perspective you got, in a different country. What was some of those things you saw that made you feel that you should really appreciate life a lot more?
Well, I think, as I said, you go into the townships and these guys, people were literally living in tin sheds. And I suppose one of the first experiences we had, and again, just things we take for granted is having 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And when we first went to the footy and we went down the ground and we took some sandwiches and we were literally mobbed, and kids were fighting for food. And I suppose that just, I'll always remember the fact, that kids, I learned that day that the kids just needed food. And so we'd always take sandwiches. Margaret would always make cakes. I'd take cakes to Sunday games. So they'd always look forward to a Sunday game for cakes. But I suppose one of the things that made me upset was the fact that, I had to bury 5 players. And like the first incident, the first funeral I had to go to where I had to walk through the township, go, and I'd always been driving through the township, but never really been into these areas. So just having to sit at in their houses was really basically a tin shack. Some had running water, some didn't have running water. So everything is we sort of take for granted. And even today, as I said, even now, a lot of these guys still struggle to get 1 or 2 meals a day. So they're the sort of critical things, I sort of took out of that.
And you used sport as a tool to really bring them together. And can you explain to us how sport really helped them and be able to come and sort of not think about the hardships that they may be going through and how it's helping them get through tough times?
Yeah. Well, sport, sport, I would say, rescued a lot of those guys. So through sport, drugs is a really big problem in the Western Cape. And through sport, when you sit down with the guys and say, hey, Mr. Miller, this really saved us. You know, they had something to play for. They were really fortunate. I mean, you know, the AFL was really great, and over that 9-year period, a lot of them got to come to Australia, to represent
Awesome.
SA Lions. So, you know, so you had kids that were sort of, you know, they'd never been outside Cape Town. Going for their first trip ever was overseas, coming to Australia. And so, yeah, I suppose sport gave them an outlet to get away from the drugs and gangs, gave them something to look forward to. And I suppose, look, in that 9 years, gave them some great opportunities. You think, you know, they represented their country, although, you know, AFL's not a big sport in South Africa, but the fact that they got to represent their country and got to travel to Australia, you know, I suppose, you know, something they'll never forget, and it's always something I always say, thanks, Mr. Miller, for keeping us involved in sport.
Absolutely, and that's a terrific story to hear.
Yeah.
What was, and we're talking to Wayne Miller, the Sunshine Heights newly appointed head coach on BRIMBANK Live on Live FM, the Sports Hour show. You won 4 premierships in a row. Is that right, Wayne, at Sunshine Heights?
So when I was a junior, we played in, for under 14s, under 16s, I played in 5 grand finals in a row. We won 5 out of 6. So we were a very strong junior group. In those days, the finals you could bet as long as you want. So Dad, who was our coach, had a sort of we were making sort of 400, 300. So we'd bat for 2 days and give the other team half a day to
right,
try and get our score. But yeah, it was a great period. It was just really strong. We lost the one I'll always never forget was the one we lost. We made over 400 runs and we still lost the grand final.
Wow.
And that comes down to the old saying, catches win matches. We dropped 12 catches that grand final.
Wow. Yeah.
But so that was, I suppose, that. So the one that sticks in my mind is the one we lost. But I think that we were just a very strong junior group coming through them. You know, like one of the other games I remember in our under 16 year, we were playing Grand United and we got them all out for 1. So we dropped a catch and slip to give them a single. So yeah, it was a strong team, really good team. I said it was a mixture. We had, you know, I can remember one of the under 14 premierships. A guy, George Nestoris, who was down playing cricket. Myself and him battled. I came in number 11. The night before, we've been playing the grand final. My dad took me down to get his car serviced, and the car lift came onto my foot, squashed my foot. So Dad said, "Don't worry, you got to bat tomorrow." So they said, "Oh, you'll mend, okay? You're only young." My foot was all crushed up. So I can remember myself and George. George was at one end. There was a guy called Alan Chadwick, and he was a really fast bowler. Now, George wasn't playing any orthodox shots. He was running away and hooking in fours and 2s. Yeah. And I was on the other end just blocking just on one leg. That was probably the most memorable one. Of 2 guys, you know, one young guy, one guy learning cricket, just swinging the bat as hard as George could to win a flag for us. So it was great.
Well, it's an interesting story. They can you get them from playing in community sport. What was the experience like going up to district level and playing for the Footscray Cricket Club in the Premier competition?
Yeah, so that was really good. I mean, it was a great experience. I sort of played. So I sort of got introduced to Footscray through Dowling Shield. So I played at Footscray, and as soon as I finished under 16s, went straight to Footscray. So look, it was a really great experience. Again, Footscray was really great in terms of welcoming young guys. You sort of groomed your way up the list. Then you sort of start off 4th, and you sort of worked your way all the way up from 3rd, 2nds, and 1st. But yeah, it was a great period of cricket. I really enjoyed it. You know, we had Colin there. Tony Donamaid, Merv Hughes, Peter Dredge, Lenny Balcom. You know, there was, I think, half the Victorian squad at that stage was playing for Footscray.
Wow.
So it was a really good time. I suppose things I learned was you had to work hard. So you sort of, as I said, in those days you'd come down, you'd work your way up through the grades. So a lot of hard work, hard training. Sort of got up to play first grade, which was a great experience.
And speaking of experiences, what was it like to play with some of those big names that played for Victoria in Merv Hughes? How was that?
It was good. It was great. Merv was just sort of, we're a similar age. So Merv was most slightly younger than me. So Merv was sort of just coming in. But yeah, you'd sort of see Merv at training and sort of, we had a code at training. All the fast bowlers never bowled fast at each other, but we always bowled very fast at batsmen. So it was really, it was great. It was great being around those guys. And even the older guys, everybody shared the same experiences. Everybody worked hard together. So it was really good with working with those guys.
Yeah, brilliant. And you spoke about how you had to really work hard in those days. And you've been newly appointed as the head coach at the P2G High Performance Cricket Academy at the Western Sports Centre in Melbourne's West. What they train in indoor facilities there. What was the differences when you were younger and you were training compared to cricketers nowadays playing?
Yeah, I suppose the thing I've noticed, not just only there, but just coming back to Sunshine Heights, is kids don't spend time outside. I mean, and I've noticed that just in terms of just their skill sets, and some of the basics. I suppose when I grew up, you either were playing cricket in the backyard or you're playing cricket in the streets with your mates.
Yeah.
And if I just looking over the last since I've been back and just at the Western Sports is a lot of kids. So when we ask guys, oh, what do you do? What are you doing? Oh, no, I've been playing computer all day. So I think a big difference in today is obviously a lot of kids are not as active as we were. And I think therefore you've got to probably do a lot more work on some of the finer motor skills that we take from my generation, or would take for granted. But look, the indoor facilities are great there. I suppose when I grew up, you had to it was either rain, snow, or hail, and you'd still go to the cricket training. But the indoor facilities are great there. And I'm looking forward to it. I've only been there for sort of a week and a half. So I'm really looking forward to working with a lot of the young kids in the community. Again, the whole aim of that academy is to try and get kids ready to be able to get up to go on to Premier Cricket or higher. So I'm really looking forward to working with the kids there. Yeah,
and in your answer there, it's really reflective of how lucky younger people are these days with the facilities we have to go and get involved in community sport. So do you have anything to say to those kids and like from your experiences as a young fella playing sports and getting involved, how important do you think it is? And just for them to even give it a try, how important do you think that is?
Yeah, look, I think it's important. Yeah, just get involved in sport. Give it a try. Just do your best. I think the important thing is always try and do your best. And just work hard. But I think I think given the facilities we have now, there's really no excuse not to be able to sort of try these things. So I suppose try it. Always give it your best. And see how things go. Yeah.
Well, Wayne, it's much appreciated you coming on the Sports Hour show on BRIMBANK Live on Live FM. So a big thank you for you to coming on, and all the best for the season.
All right, thanks, Max, and great interview, and all the best for you too for this year. Okay.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, okay, cheers.
Thank you. And that was Wayne Miller from the Sunshine Heights Cricket Club, newly appointed head coach. He was also played first grade cricket at Footscray, and he's also lived in South Africa. So we thank him for coming on the Sports Hour show on BRIMBANK Live on Live FM, and I hope you enjoyed it.